Welcome to Sharkie's Gaming Controllers. I'm Sharkie, and in today's video I'll be taking a look at the Leetgion druin RPG gaming mouse. This is a very interesting mouse. It has some cool features. But before we go into the mouse, let's have a look at this box first. So this is the packaging it comes in. It's got a nice front image there of the mouse. Looks pretty awesome. At the top here, it just says Leetgion druin optimized for RPG. On the top of the box, it goes into some of the features. So here it says Omni-Tuner, fast switch your profiles, Omron micro switches, extreme durability and reliability, S-Pad, fast, intuitive and accurate skill control, DPI micro tune, real-time on-the-fly DPI tuning, removable palm plates, choose your own texture, size and style. Now the sides of the box are pretty plain. Same in the bottom. But on the back it does go into some more of the features. So just up the top here, it says Avago 9500 laser mouse sensor 100 to 5000 DPI, 2 made in Japan Omron micro switches, 1 patent pending Omni-Tuner for DPI micro tune and profile management, 5 directional thumb S-Pad, 12 fully programmable hotkeys, 4 custom profile sets, 1 default profile, dual LED lighting Q system for profile and Omni-Tuner mode indication, 4 removable palm plates for adjustable size and grip. In the center here, it also goes on about the company itself, about Leetgion. Leetgion is comprised of 2 words, leet plus legion. The word leet is an internet phrase derived from the word elite, often used as describing as an individual or feat of superior skill or prowess. Legion refers to a large military force or group. Our self-given description of the word legion is a group of elite individuals fighting alongside each other, conquering all that stands before them. So it's a very interesting description of their company. And on this side, it goes into system requirements as well as package contents. Now, this box looks quite plain other than those kind of few things, but it's actually got this little sleeve that slides off. And once you remove the sleeve, you can actually open this box. And it looks quite posh. It comes in this like plastic case in the center here. And it does look very cool. So it's a very nice way of displaying this mouse. So once you pulled out everything from the box, this is what you get. You of course get the druin RPG mouse itself, which has a large black palm plate pre-installed. You also get 1 additional smaller black palm plate, as well as 2 other silver palm plates, 1 large and 1 small. You also get these extra Teflon mouse feet, so you can replace those mouse feet when they wear out. And you also get a Leetgion sticker. And then you get these guides. So you get the quick start guide here, which is in a nice shape of the mouse itself. It looks kind of cool. When you open this up, so it first goes into what buttons are what. On all sides of the mouse, there's the front and the sides. Then it goes into different modes here. So first we got default button assignments, Omni-Tuner, how to adjust a DPI, how to adjust profiles, and then it goes into other languages. So it's quite a handy little quick start guide to get you up and running quite quickly. And then here we've got the proper manual. This is the master start guide. So it's quite a thick manual, but most of this, of course, is just different languages. But when you open this up, it has some handy information inside of it. So, of course, it shows you introduction, package contents, key features of it, installation, skill, power, action, D-pad, Omni-Tuner, the different modes, different button assignments for each profile, the software itself, button assignments tab, profile management tab, macro management tab, adjustment performance tab, of course safety and maintenance, and then it goes into another language. So it's got quite a lot of nice handy information in that manual. So now let's have a look at the druin RPG mouse itself. Now this is a really strange looking mouse. It's got a very odd shape to it. So there's the top of it just there, the back of it, the side of it, the front, the other side, and the bottom. So this is a very strange looking mouse. It's got a very odd shape to it. And the one thing to note before I go into the features is that usually this mouse has a soft rubber coating all over it. So on the palm rest here, on the sides of the mouse, as well as on the front and a little bit on the bottom. But this rubber coating has a tendency to go sticky. So I've actually cleaned it completely off, revealing that underneath it is this nice shiny plastic. So if you have this mouse or you plan to get this mouse, it's something to be aware of. You might have to clean that coating off. And realistically, once you clean it off, it actually is an improvement because this mouse is nice and smooth now. Dirt won't get stuck to it. It won't feel sticky to the touch. So cleaning it off is definitely an improvement. But just wanted to mention that so you guys know this is not exactly as it is out of the box. So let's go into the features. First off, this is a USB mouse, so it's got a USB connector on the end there. And it has this nice braided cable, so it won't get tangled very easily, and it's quite sturdy and strong. It also has this nice Leetgion Velcro kind of tie here, so if you want to wrap up the cable, maybe you're traveling with it, you can wrap it up with that Velcro tie. Now, of course, this mouse has a right and left click, which are very nice. They feel really nice to use, and they are very responsive. In the center here, you've got a nice rubberized scroll wheel, which rotates very smoothly. And if you do it slowly, you can also do it in kind of notched, more precise fashion. Now there are two LEDs on this mouse. There's one in the center here, which indicates the Omni-Tuner mode. And there's another one on the left-hand side here to indicate the profile. Now on the right hand of the mouse here, you have the Omni-Tuner. Now in the center, you've got this button. And you've also got a dial, which can be rotated. And this dial also has this really nice texture to it. You can see it just there. This just allows you that when you're actually holding this mouse, you can easily rotate this dial with just one finger. So basically you use the Omni-Tuner here to select your Omni-Tuner modes, which is done by selecting this button in the center. So you'd press this button and it would cycle through the different modes, which will tell you because this little LED in the center here will change color. So you would change this and then you use the dial to either adjust your DPI or to adjust a command or shortcut depending on what profile you've got selected. So it's a very handy little thing. But I'll go more into detail with the Omni-Tuner profiles and the LED colors in just a moment. But first, let's have a look at the S-Pad on the other side of the mouse here. So the S-Pad is basically a little 5-directional thumb S-Pad, which Leetgion basically is short for Skill Power Action D-Pad. Quite a mouthful there. But basically, it's just a fancy looking D-Pad. It essentially moves to the side, so left and right and up and down. You can also click down. And it basically feels like a very small and loose analog stick. But it's basically a variant of a D-pad. It's very easy to move. As you can see, it doesn't take much force to move it around and to click it down. Essentially, the S-Pad allows you to have 5 commands or shortcuts assigned to it, which can be very handy while playing a game. It feels quite nice at first because, like I mentioned, it's quite smooth. It moves quite easily. I just wish that actually the button trigger, when you actually move it in a direction, would be more responsive. The center button triggers fine and is pretty responsive every time you press it, but the other directions are the issue. So you've got to actually move it all the way and in a very particular direction to actually get the command to trigger. And sometimes you have to do it quite hard, and while other times you can nail it quite straight away. It realistically depends on how accurate you are with the movement, because it has to go either left or right or up and down. If you go to diagonals, it won't trigger the command. So you've got to be very precise, and while you're doing this, because when you're holding the mouse and you're doing this, if you have to press hard, you have to try avoid not to squeeze the mouse or accidentally click, because you're trying to get that to trigger, especially going more in the forward direction. You more feel like you need to squeeze the mouse. Sometimes it works okay, and I think you could get used to the S-Pad. I just wish it was a bit more responsive and a bit more easier to trigger those commands, because it is a very good idea. It's very inconsistent. It's just not good enough. I just wish there was a slight bit more improvement with that. But it's definitely a good idea. I just wish that the responsiveness was a little bit better. Now, moving on to the sensor here. Now, the sensor in this mouse is an Avago laser sensor, which can be adjusted from 100 to 5000 dpi. It's a pretty good sensor, and the adjustment range should suit majority of games out there. It feels responsive and quite smooth, and it's pretty good to play a game with. I have no problems with the sensor. Now, this mouse is a bit adjustable. So for comfort, you can actually adjust the palm plates here, and you've got a few different to choose from. But first, how do you actually remove this plate? Well, it's quite easy. So I find the easiest way is just to put your finger underneath the lip there of the actual palm plate and pull up. And I'll just snap off the mouse like that. So in total, you get 4 palm plates with this mouse, 2 black and 2 silver. And these come in 2 different sizes. So you've got the small ones down here and 2 larger ones there. These are the 2 black ones. And then you've got the 2 silver ones. Now, please note again that the black ones usually have that soft rubber coating on them. I cleaned that coating off because it had become a bit sticky. But as you can see, once you've cleaned that coating off, it's a nice gloss plastic underneath. So it's quite nice, and I think it's worth cleaning that rubber off. I think it's an improvement getting rid of that and just having the plastic. While the silver here is still a nice shiny plastic, but it's just not as gloss as the black. It's a more of a matte kind of finish. Still looks really nice. So to install these on the mouse, you simply just choose your size, align it up on the mouse, and press it down. It'll click into place. And you can see this is the smaller one, so it gives the palm rest a much lower profile. So it doesn't really fill your hand as much. Pop that off, put the silver one on. This is the large silver, and you can see it really drastically changes the color of the mouse there. It looks so different with the silver plates on it. And this is the larger one, so again, it fills your hand quite nicely. Putting the small one on. You can see again, it gives you that lower profile there. Personally, for me, I prefer the black, and I like the larger one because I just like how it kind of fills your hand very nicely. Just gives you a bit more support when you're using the mouse. Now, this mouse is actually very comfortable to use. Being that it has so much extra functions on either side, it sort of takes a bit to get used to not accidentally press something. So you sort of got to find the balance of holding it and squeezing it, so you're holding it firmly, but not squeezing it too much that you're accidentally pressing things. I had a tendency initially when I was getting used to this S-Pad to accidentally right-click quite often. But I think it was just the way I was kind of squeezing the mouse, because sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, the S-Pad can be a little bit hard to trigger. So you have a tendency to kind of squeeze the mouse because of it, and that means you accidentally might click. So I think it's just finding that kind of balance, getting used to it, how to squeeze the mouse, because you can sort of squeeze the sides of the mouse here with no issue. Once you kind of figured that out, you should be away. Accessing all the functions is quite easy. You can click, use the scroll wheel, and it feels really nice to use the left and right click on these. They are very responsive, so it's incredibly nice to use the mouse with those. And of course on the side here, you can access that Omni-Tuner dial. And on this side, you just access that S-Pad. So overall, I think it is quite a comfortable mouse, but you definitely have to get used to it to kind of find that balance. So when you set up this mouse, you can of course directly connect this via USB to your PC, and it'll detect as a standard gaming mouse. And all the default profiles will be assigned, so you can use any key presses that are already assigned to the mouse. But if you want to customize the settings of this mouse as well as the key presses, then you need to get the software, the Leetgion druin configurator. So once you've got the software installed, then you can start changing settings of this mouse. So this first screen here is the button assignment menu, where you can assign all the buttons from the clicks to the scroll, S-pad and the dial. In a profile management, you can set up multiple profiles so that you can switch between them when you need them. And in macro management, you can record your own custom macros. So if you've got a bunch of key presses that you want to assign to just one button to trigger all at once, this is where you can do it. You can record your own custom macros and then save them for later use. Then you can adjust the performance of the mouse from the polling rate to the scroll speed and the double click. So you can adjust these all to your liking. Now, using the Omni-Tuner of this mouse, which is basically the most important thing when it comes to profile switching. So the Omni-Tuner is on the right hand side of the mouse here, and essentially you know which mode it is by the color of the LED in the center there. So if we start afresh, so if red basically, that's red on the middle there, this means you can adjust your DPI. So if you use the dial now, you can actually adjust your DPI on the fly while you're in the middle of a game. If you switch that to blue, that's profile selection mode, where you can select your profile. And then yellow is button mode. This is where you can actually program it. So you have to have it in the yellow mode when you're in the software setting it up. And also if you disable the Omni-Tuner here, this little light then will be like a light blue, like a sky blue. So if we go to mode selection, which is blue, this is where this little LED comes into play. So this is how you can tell your mode. So when that middle is in blue and that's basically highlighted, you can switch this mode by using the dial. And you can see it changes different color, and this is switching the profiles available. You can see in the software there, it's also changing as I flip this. So it's incredibly easy to actually do it. There's a couple of different default profiles. So you've got red, which is like the default, which you can't change. You've got like a greeny kind of color there as well. You've got purple, yellow, which more looks green to me. It's hard to see on the camera here, but it's more of a green light than yellow. And then you finally got blue. So of course you can assign these profiles to these different modes and allow you to switch up to 4 profiles. So it's a really handy thing. So if you've got 4 different games in mind, you can set up those profiles to exactly the way you like it and just switch them to when you want. And like I said, you can record your own macros and assign them to a specific button in a profile, so you know when you switch to that particular color profile, it's got your macros pre-assigned and saved. So this mouse definitely offers a lot of customization. Overall, I think this is a very cool and interesting gaming mouse. I really like the look of it. It's very unique and kind of strange looking, but it's actually quite comfortable, and it functions quite well. Using the features will take some time to get used to, but you know, I think if given enough time, you could absolutely get used to using this mouse, and it would be great to play games with. I think though it's more geared towards RPGs and strategy games. I don't think the S-pad is responsive enough for FPS games, although the left and right click are good enough that you could easily use this mouse with any game you wanted. It's just the other features, the S-pad and the dial, I think they're just more geared for a little bit more slower paced games, and they're just not as responsive that could be relied on for something fast paced like an FPS. But it's still great to use though. And I would say Leetgion did a good job with this mouse. I really like how different it is, and having that dial and S-pad are 2 very cool features, which given some slight improvements could have made these features great. They just needed to be a little bit more responsive. But this mouse now is pretty much a collector's item, as it's quite hard to find these days. Since the Leetgion website's gone down, you can't even download the software anymore. So realistically, if you wanted to use this mouse today, you could, but you'd probably end up just using it with the default settings. But of course, just using those default settings, you can still play all the modern games with it, and it's still a great mouse to play with. So anyway guys, that was the Leetgion Druin RPG gaming mouse for PC. Overall, a pretty cool and unique gaming mouse. If you guys like this video, then please press that like button, as it really helps out a lot. Please subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss any of my new videos, as I'm going to have heaps more gaming controls and accessories up very shortly. If you would like to support my channel, then go ahead and click the join button down below and become a channel member. You'll get monthly channel perks, and of course the extra support really helps me out a lot. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.